Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Ron, broadcasting to you in the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have from the great Midwest, the frozen tundra of Grand Bay, Lambeau Field, sort of a little south at Minneapolis,
Way
allegedly.
south of that.
I know that, sir, right? Down there, RDV. And RDV, I just found out something interesting today while I was at the tennis practice facility with some of my clients. I found out that with the wind chill here in Central Florida, not the thermometer, but the wind chill, the feels like, as they like to say, if it's 40 or lower here in the Orlando area,
Mhm.
they'll cancel classes. Now, why is that relevant to the movie we're getting ready to discuss tonight, The Rip? Well, I will tell you why. Because in summer, when it's probably 90 to 95 by 10, 11 o'clock and very humid still on the court with a bunch of children and all that during summer camp, we have no heat advisory when at least the heat index is 130 sometimes. So it's pretty fucking stupid. The movie The Rip is based off a true story in South Florida. And so it made me think of the extreme temperature changes we have here because you're telling me it's like minus 10 with the wind chill. And to me, I'm out there and it's 40 degrees and like everybody's beside themselves. Those are bother to show. Jesus, why is this important? Well, I don't know, but there's something about movies in Miami. Maybe we're going to be doing Miami Vice TV show here soon too for our review coming up soon, which I'm looking forward
Or
to.
maybe we'll just be a renegade. Who knows?
Lorenzo Lamas, maybe we'll alternate. That would be badass, wouldn't it?
What?
Because and you know what, you're bringing up heat because this is important. Because if you watch the trailer for Renegade, which is phenomenal, the TV show with Lorenzo Lamas, who's even more breathtaking in his BVD underwear, I will tell you, it's okay if he pours a gallon of water over his head from a jug while sitting on a Harley with his denim jacket wide open, being very gay and homosexual, like, because I think he's Argentinian or Peruvian or something. He's from South America, I believe. So you're allowed
I
to like
wouldn't
men
bring
that
in
have
the H word for
Latino
that
heat.
stuff.
Well, but I'm just saying it's okay.
I'm just
to like,
saying the show was aimed towards women.
I'm just saying it's okay to like men because they have Latino heat, like Antonio Banderas. However, to kind of put a cap on all this nonsense, the real leader in Hollywood for all this was Ricardo Montalban, aka Khan from Star Trek 2. But what does that leave us to? Because the first thing that struck me about The Rip is here when we've been reviewing Fallout, how they are CGIing the face of the father in there, which, okay, looks really bad. I was really struck how they started The Rip off and how much these guys look in their middle age, because they don't look bad, but they definitely don't look like the handsome young boy toy hunks that they did 20 years ago. What was your
No.
initial take on this movie?
My first movie seeing post Batman Ben Affleck movie.
Okay.
I didn't watch this sequel. I
I
barely
did.
remember that.
Not as good as the first.
I don't think I even watched the first one.
First one's actually, I like it. I think it's
Before
pretty good.
before Batman, I think the only movie I really watched him on was Paycheck. Like it was it him?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
he was in Paycheck.
Paycheck and then Reindeer Games.
God, that's
So
so
I-
90s. Yeah.
yeah. Forces of Nature,
Mhm.
So yeah. Ben Affleck. I mainly watch this not for Ben Affleck, maybe because I want to see Matt Damon. Matt Damon is a phenomenal actor, way better than Ben Affleck. And I haven't seen Matt Damon films since the Bourne movies, so I really want to see what was going on with this. And then one of my buddies, he'd already watched. He said he's like, yeah, he's actually really good. So it's like, forget this is even Netflix because it feels like it's a movie that would have been in the theaters, the way they filmed it. And it kind of reminded me of what was the Town?
Mm-hmm. I did
So
not.
the way it was shot and stuff, it was just like it was very professionally done, and you could tell. So yeah, going into this, plus it's called The Rip, and you're like, okay, what is The Rip? And then you're like, and you watch a trailer, and it's like, someone may be dirty, you don't know who. It's and of course the Rip is basically when these DEA officers come across a ton of cash, and I'm thinking like, okay, are they both dirty? Is no one dirty? What's the game here? And it was this way. I love this movie because it's very much head games with you.
It's a little different than what you think it would just be like a generic cop thing too, because I think the people that I know that have seen it, when I asked them, I said, hey, what are your thoughts on it? They said, well, they thought it was kind of bland and boring. And I'm like, are you? And I sounded kind of stupid, I thought, asking this because I'm the 80s guy, you're the 90s guy, so maybe it's more natural for younger people. But I said, were you sitting there scrolling and on your phone and all that, the second screen syndrome that Netflix makes for it and all that too?
Well,
They're
that's
like,
what
no, I just kind of had it on because there's a little bit more going on in this movie during the whole movie than just something goes bad.
Yeah. I want to point out that they actually had a really good casting here. You had Scott Adkins randomly thrown in here for no reason.
I recognized him immediately. He's the brother FBI agent, and
brother.
this is the kind of role he excels in, where he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah, and when he's not the main character.
I 100%.
Yeah.
Unless he's the fat guy from John Wick 4.
Yeah. So we also have the popular Steve Yeun. For those little haze, he was on The Walking Dead. He was he's the one who gets his head bashed in. I forgot what his name is. But he's also been the voice for recently for Invincible. He's the main character voice. He's Mark. And
There's one more big player in here who I think is a little underused.
Well, I'll just say early edition boy, Kyle Chandler.
Kyle Chandler, one of the best shows Netflix did was the one with the Rayburns and all of that, the Bloodlines or whatever. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. That was my experience for Kyle Chandler. This is a heavyweight cast, sir.
Kyle Chandler, for me, is early edition CBS. The guy would always, he was a guy to get the newspaper a day before it happened. He tried to prevent the disasters that were going to happen.
See, I never saw that. And what about Friday Night Lights?
I never watched Friday Night Lights.
Me either. Okay.
But it was the 90s show that I was watching.
True.
Yeah. So, and it was just a fantastic show. And he's just a normal guy who gets, he doesn't know why, but he gets the newspaper and he thinks maybe it's a cat that's bringing it in or whatever, an angel. They never explain how, but he always gets the paper and he has the headline and he has a chance to basically do something. So I was remembering, it's early edition guy. I can never remember what his full name is, but Kyle Chandler, in there plays, he's a SWAT guy. And he has the big old rig stuff. And basically, it starts off of what we get the girl in here, the captain, played by Lena Esco, getting whacked by two guys while she's walking to her car. She's on a phone call with somebody. We're not sure who it is at first. But
remember what she says basically, or the gist of it?
And basically, it's Sasha Calle, who played, if you remember, if anyone those who watched the horrible Flash movie. She played Supergirl in that, or Superwoman, whatever. She's in there, and a foreman that's on the phone. I was on the phone call with Lena, with basically Jackie Valesa, whatever, the captain, and she's like, "I can't do this anymore. I need to get out of here." And she's like, "No, relax, I got you." And then, as she's walking the car, it's raining. Two guys show up and they try to shoot her, and then basically she has a shootout, and she ends up getting shot by a shotgun, but only after sending a text to somebody on her phone, toss it into the water. And then next thing you know, we're introduced to basically Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Teyana Taylor, Steve Yeun, and all these. And else we have Néstor Carbonell, who plays the new Major. And then not only that, we have Kyle Chandler, not Kyle Chandler, but Scott Adkins. And they're all being interviewed because, well, they want to know if somebody's dirty on the team or not, and we don't know why, but so we're introduced to the whole cast here as a way to get to see all the different personalities. We get a great nice year between Scott Adkins and Matt Damon, or not maybe, but Ben Affleck, because they're brothers. Mm-hmm. And I love, like, you see the tension to them. Now they don't really look like brothers, but it was kind of believable the way they acted a little bit.
Yeah, because they could verbally spar at each other, and anybody that sat through HR at work or your stupid boss in a retail job or like that, it doesn't matter what situation, you know what's coming here, feeling. So it automatically kind of makes you go, yeah, I want to hate these guys. I don't know what happened, but they're assholes. It's
also revealed that the fact that Ben Affleck actually was sleeping with the captain. They had a relationship, stuff, and everybody's interrogated. Eventually he blows up his brother. He goes to the bathroom, and then we have Ben Affleck and we have in the bathroom, and you have Matt Damon walks in, and he just basically starts trying to humor himself. At this point, we also see that Matt Damon got a text to his phone, and we're like, okay, he's got a score, or it says there's a rip, he's at this place, and it's just from there, it's you're putting in doubt into your head, like, hey, is Matt Damon dirty or whatever? Because he doesn't tell him about where the tip comes from. He tells him for a specific amount. Of course, the problem in this movie is that when they get there, it's this little house, in the middle of nowhere. There's no one living in any of these houses, and Sasha Calle's there too. And they go and they find it in their attic because they did they'll take their dog up there. Because remember, they're all basically disbanded because they were not being paid overtime. So they went there on a tip, which is really shady as it was. They go there and the dog finds all these like 14 like paint buckets, you know, of like over like a what, $2.5 million or something. That's $1 million, 2.1.
Well, the interesting thing here about it, what I kind of thought, I mean, there's a lot of action here towards the end, but the cop mystery part I thought was good because you got the death at the beginning, and then when you see Matt Damon, you're like, oh, is he crooked?
Yeah,
you know, what's going on?
He's actually strange. He keeps looking at his phone.
Yes.
This kid.
Yes.
You know what's going on. He's also, you know, and he's kind of quiet. He's not following procedure. Ben Affleck Ben Affleck doesn't even know what's going on. He's like, he pulls him aside. What, dude? What's with you? Why are you acting like this? Mm-hmm. And then they get a phone call, and he says like, leave the house. You have 30 minutes to kill you. Take the money. You know the was it the 35 or 150K and leave. You know.
Yeah. So the setup here to me that got me invested in it was, you know, he rounds them up to go to this house there because basically we're led to believe with the message he gets that he's might be corrupt in that they're being accused of somehow stealing money from like cartel people, right, and not reporting it because that's the task force they're on. And this one girl dies, they didn't know what's going on, they're all pissed off because she died. So when they get to the house, and again, this made me cringe because this woman with the house has every right to sit there and say, not first of all, to not answer the door or even go out there. And he kind of tricks her into signing the search warrant in a way or something like it's proved, and then they go in there. Now they're not the complete dickheads, but how they go through finding where they go up into the attic and they see nothing, and the one guy stops, he's like, hey, why is this so clean? And then they saw like some extra long wire out of the wiring box, and they pull it and it reveals where the money's hidden. So it's out of the house full of it's got to be drug money, we're assuming.
Yeah. So they count everything like the garage, they count it and stuff, you know, and it's over $2 million, but the man on the phone says over $5,000 or it was one. What did he say? It was 150K. He said, take it and leave. And they're like, why is it? Doesn't make sense. Why, you know, we need to call in the major. And he's like, well, no. And this is where Ben Affleck says, or not Ben Affleck, but Matt Damon's like, Matt Damon, we're gonna take all the phones. You're not allowed to call anybody. Stuff. We know that Steve Yeun's got a phone. He's hiding a burner.
It's a burner.
We don't know if, and of course he's gonna call the major, I guess. You know, played by Chandler and stuff. You know, and stuff like because the protocol they need to call in somebody because and it sounds like they're gonna steal stuff. As he even hears it, and you think that you get the point where you think that Matt Damon's gonna pop him in the back of his head as they're walking up because Ben Affleck stands out there with sneaks up on Steve Yeun, who's on post outside, you know, with their SWAT gear on, and they notice there's this house light that keeps going on like a Morse code at the end of the road. So Ben Affleck says he's gonna go check it out, and then he goes inside. Steve Yeun goes outside and talks to Matt Damon, and he's like, Matt Damon, what are you doing here? He's like, because this is only after Sasha Calle's character says like, I overheard them in the garage saying like they're gonna steal the money, they're gonna steal the rip, you know, and he's like, what? And he's just basically talking, what are you doing here? He's like, I want to tell you that the boss, you know, he went up to check over there, so. It's like, let's go take for a walk outside. And you're like, oh shit, if he's dirty, he's gonna pop him in the back of the head. You know.
Well, the interesting thing here too with the setup, because again, we're led to believe that he's corrupt, is that when people are talking about the money, it's like a setup in that he's given everybody a different amount. Because it's one of those things where like you tell one person one thing, so you know if somebody else says that person's like the leaker, or at least you can go to them. Maybe
at this point, we only heard the 150K and then the 2.1.
Yes.
So,
and it's one of the things. Well, here's one of the negatives I'll say about this movie a little bit in a way, not like it takes away from the movie, but I had mentioned Kyle Chandler, and I was glazing him a little bit because I thought Bloodline was terrific, and with what I've seen him, I've enjoyed him. Right. So to me, he's a heavyweight player. Now Scott Adkins, you know, we've covered a lot of Scott Adkins movies because we're kind of like Chuck Norris, martial arts beast. We love action films, 80s and all that stuff, right? That's where we start, right? That's where we continue. So when you see Scott Adkins, I can take him as a B-level guy, meaning not a main character, but good enough where, hey, I've seen that guy before, good-looking guy in the right role, well casted. It doesn't take away from the other players. But when I get somebody like a Kyle Chandler or something like that, I go, he's going to be a heavyweight. He's got to be involved somehow. And they don't necessarily use him a lot,
No,
but you know that he represents like the muscle of the machine, no pun intended.
he's got the SWAT guys. He's got the armored car.
Right.
You know,
So you're paranoid. You've got your group of people. If you're Matt Damon, we don't know if watching you if we can trust you. But Matt Damon's always been the good guy.
yes,
He's always been Jason Bourne. He's always been, you know, the smart kid and all that too. But
Ben Affleck,
not like him.
as far as we know, he's the good guy. But we don't know. We're led to believe that he's the good guy. Maybe he's the bad guy. We don't know what's going on because it's revealed later in the movie that when that he didn't even know until because they had to make it believable, you know, stuff.
Yes.
So basically, at this point now that the girls are counting the money, and Stevie Yeun, you know, believes that they're gonna rip it off, and they basically, first of all, they end up zip tying the doors, and he's like, "Why is the door locked?" He's like, "Well, so we control who's coming in and stuff, you know."
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's like, "What the heck?" So, and the girls have already been talking about, you know, about what they do with the money, you know, just this stack here and stuff. And the one girl is like, you know, it's just so we don't know at this point. Everyone just seems dirty at this point, except for maybe Ben Affleck, you know, and Steve Yeun character. Sasha Calle, we don't know if she's telling the truth whatsoever. We just know that it was her grandma's house. Her grandmother died, and she had, you know, her grandma had like cancer or something, like, and all the medical bills packed up. So it's basically, she, as far as we're led to believe, it's the cartel basically was storing their money there, and she was getting a cut, you know.
Exactly. Hey.
And we don't know if she's gonna alert to the cartel, whoever's money this is. We don't know, you know. Well, we don't even know who's on the phone. It's one of those just hey, what's your favorite scary movie voices, you know. So we have no idea who's on the phone, who's calling it, if it's even legit, whatever. But the smart thing that I love about this, so is in case there was an actual threat, they do push the station wagon. It's inside the garage, and able to turn it. It must have been a really huge garage, though. It must have been like a 3-car garage in order for them to turn the station wagon, old school, and then put it sideways to block the bullets, and they can come through.
Right.
I always thought about that because, like, I was like, man, most people only have like a 1.5-car garage, or at most 2.
If you're an older home, you had carport, you had this and that. But this, I mean, how do I explain this? It's in it's not, the house itself isn't necessarily a bad home, but
no,
cartels that own certain neighborhoods,
it's a ranch home.
There's this, that, or whatever. It's not like this secret hideaway that you get in a James Bond something or whatever.
No, it's on a cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you don't know who really runs that part of the neighborhood. Is it this cartel? Is it this? You know, who's watching the house? You know, and all that. Because you're right, they're getting calls. Who's calling them? Yeah.
So then eventually the Ben Affleck, you know, we see him walking in the house, and then we see a silhouette of a gun behind him. It's with a handgun. We don't know who it is, and we think, oh shit, is he gonna get killed? You know, and then later on, eventually there's a lot of gunfire, and the garage gets shot up, and everyone's pretty much like, you know, ducking down, you know, and not, it's just like the intensity of this movie just gets just crazier as it goes on. And that's what I like about it. I was like, I'm not a big, like, you know, I gotta see, like, you know, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie. You know, it's like I saw Matt, like, as far as Ben Affleck goes, I liked him in the Batman movie or whatever, I guess / Batman movie. It was a Batman Superman stuff, but as a main character, I've never really been like, oh yeah, I want to follow this guy, because
I'll tell you, he's grown on me because
he's like a Scott Adkins that's matured. To me, that's what it feels like. If Scott Adkins finally finds that role that works for him, and then it works, you know.
The problem is there's not the talent that a Scott Adkins has is not being tapped and used. And so you can see these guys are personalities and celebs, so they're being cast, so you just kind of watch them or whatever. He was in that one movie with the one everybody's hot over, the Bond chick that got her spinoff show, Ballerina or whatever like that. She was in the Keanu Moves, one of the 2 sexy, crazy women that raped Keanu and all that. Whatever, I forget her name. But he was in that one movie, and I thought him as a white collar asshole, man, he's good at that. That's so much better than this Bennifer bullshit, right? I mean, from back in the
Yeah.
day. So, but I thought physically he looked good and mature. He's grown on me a little bit, and I don't think
He's
he's
been
awesome. I don't think he's horrible though.
no, he's been breaking away from the romance rom-com movies. He was
Thank
doing
God.
in the
Yeah, and I think he's
2000s.
better for it too. It's
People,
interesting because
I say people shit on Reindeer Games, but Reindeer Games was actually entertaining for how bad it was.
yeah, and he was okay in that too, and he's a bit bigger physically than I think people give him credit for, considering a lot of male actors aren't. It reminded me, though, this movie, I couldn't help but draw some parallel to a movie that you and I have talked about, but have not reviewed, and that's one of John Carpenter's earlier films, Assault on Precinct 13, where you have the cops and all the people in the
Yes.
jail cell getting surrounded and having to kind of team up to fight the gangs on the outside. And it's a very graphic, kind of dark movie, but Carpenter got a lot of his ways he would set his films up out of westerns. That's literally the
Yeah.
circling of the wagons where we all have to work together on this outside force.
So
So I thought that was definitely unique about this film, and you could definitely feel it as it goes
yeah.
on.
So as the tents, they the machine gun firing on. There's these guys in the trucks. Well, at least 4 of them armed guys, and it was with the basically fully automatic rifles.
Mhm.
And so Steve Yeun and basically Matt Damon give them chase. And then one of the guys goes into this house over there, and they clip one of the guys, and just as the guy's about to get the heads up on Matt Damon or Steve Yeun, one of the characters. I watched it 2 days ago.
Okay.
Basically, Ben Affleck comes out and shoots a guy, kills him. And then of course it's turned out that Ben Affleck's alive, and he's also got there a cartel member, the guy who's in the house who's been watching Stash, and the guy calls his boss, talking Spanish, and of course, he says their boss says, "Hey, we don't. This isn't our money. We don't want the house whatsoever. And then he also says, hey, we think that something happened. As far as with the Captain Zev, it wasn't cartel involved. We think it was a cop. And they're like, oh shit. So they're like, at this time, but there's 2 people that were in SWAT gear that were basically or at least blackout gear and
Blackout gear. Yeah, that's a good way of calling it. Yes.
Yeah, and that executed her. So we don't know. At least there's 2 people involved. We don't know they're even cops. But if it is one of them is a cop or 2 cops, okay, well that's kind of weird because if we clear that Matt Damon's not dirty, well, is Steve Yeun dirty? We don't know who's dirty. It's like at this point we just know there's 2 of them. It could be 2 girls in the suit for all we know, because the gear makes you look bigger than you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so it just gets crazier and crazier, and as it goes on and what's being revealed, and it's just a fantastic movie. It's a slow burner for a little bit, which is all right. It has a correct pace, what it needs. Like I said, this is on Netflix. This is if you're paying for Netflix, it's free to watch on there. Or if you have the high seas, you can find it eventually. This is a movie I would buy if Netflix releases it on DVD. I'd buy it.
You liked it that much?
I thought it was pretty good for being what it is. Now, is it rewatchable? Not so much.
Right.
Unless you watch it like 20 years from now or down the road, and you want to watch it again. Like, hey, I a review. But overall, though, I said as it winds out. I mean, I don't really want to spoil the ending for you guys. I'll just say that there's a chase. There's a car chase in a truck, and then there's the guys on foot chasing another guy. And let's just say I was disappointed there was no alligator at the end. You're in Florida. You're down by the water. There's always alligators.
Yes, there
Someone's getting dragged in. And I was just like, are you freaking kidding me?
Tastes like chicken.
Literally, what they tell you? Never go in any open water in Florida, because there's chances are there's an alligator there.
Yeah, and there is. Yeah, 100%.
And it's not like it's a cold. It's not like it's a cold night. You can see their breath. No, it's Florida. It's warm. So the alligator's like, hey, free meal. Look, that would have been the best thing. So the guy being handcuffed at the end, and then like here comes the alligator. Oh shit! As he pulls a gun on another guy and gets eaten. That would have been so 80s.
Well, here's the thing. While I'm watching it and I'm processing it and thinking about it, I'm like, I like what they're doing intellectually.
Yeah.
emotionally, I wasn't feeling as much as I think I wanted to. Maybe I'm not, or even say should have. So I was in a good mood. You know, it was a beautiful day down here. Had a great lunch. Was sitting down, like, okay, let me chill and watch this movie. And you're right. This is exactly the kind of movie that could be on a screen. But it's kind of like there's this term. I'm gonna date myself going back as a kid in the 70s and a teenager in the 80s, where the you'd have to go to an arcade and pay 25 cents to get one round of a game, and games were inherently more difficult than they are today, no matter what the graphics are. It's not even close. But here's the thing. There used to be in the late 80s, early 90s, a term that came up for people that wrote stuff that worked, games, but also applications that were there, but they didn't really serve any useful function or purpose, and they called it vaporware. It's just sort of there. It's like everybody can go out onto Steam now and create their own game because they're using the Unity engine or this or that or whatever. And like, okay, this is cool. It's a survival game. I've got to get 10 of these to build one of these to build whatever. And it's like, but what's the fucking point? Putting it all together. And that's what I felt like this film and a lot of media is today. It's there. It's technically company made, but it's like the new Star Trek. It has nothing to fucking do with the original one.
Now,
it's just vaporware. It's just out there.
People rip on Netflix. I didn't make a pun there, but people rip on Netflix, saying it's just bad stuff. Yes, they do have their own problems. They need to put everything in speed, diversity, whatever, DEI stuff in a lot of their films. But this is I would say it's a fluke. I'd say maybe this is a step in the right direction. Now with them buying Warner Brothers and stuff, or at least acquiring HBO and stuff. Maybe we'll get more high quality movies like this, original movies.
Well, I think that's an interesting thought because two things come to mind with that. One, what I mentioned in chat here with one of our listeners is that my understanding is that a lot of these big names signed on because if it passed certain metrics, they got even more bonuses or whatever too. So it's not like, hey, I got an egregious $20 million salary just to be in it, and the movie costs $30 million, because that happens, right? But when episodes start going for 10 to 20 million episode, if it's something like a Reacher or God forbid,
look at Stars
on it, it's what are you getting for the money that you're spending? It has to, in the Netflix model, is they'd rather pay less and have a lot of vaporware just so they have hours that they can control the streams to it, because it's more expensive to license other franchises from other channels and stations. So that's why they're looking to going to a bidding war, whether it's for Paramount or WBD.
If they create their own with these studios, you're going to see remember Stars had all those original True Detective.
Yes.
True Detective. You're going to see stuff like that probably on Netflix now. Now, I'm not going to say they're all going to be great, but there's a better chance, with you have more celebrities, big names like this, signing on and doing movies or TV shows. I think it's great for them because Spectrum does this. Spectrum was grabbing Jessica Alba and I forget what the other girls, they were doing their own show for a while. And then even Sean Bean had an own ongoing TV series show that was exclusive to Spectrum TV.
Is that right?
It was some kind of monster show or something like that. Anyway,
not Frankenstein that we reviewed.
No, that was on Netflix.
That's right, because we watched a couple seasons of that.
Yeah. Now I don't know if that was a Netflix original. I think that this might have been a property that Netflix acquired through BBC. But I honestly would love to see more of these movies. More big name actors coming here, especially the ones that aren't really on the movies anymore. They're on the big screen, because here's one thing Matt Damon said. The big screens, as far as they're not worth it. They're not worth it anymore, because the fact that streaming killed all the DVD sales. So if they said, why would I go make a big screen movie when I can just do it right on Netflix and get the same amount of people watching or more, and maybe make more money?
It is the model that Hollywood has created. And so there's an old expression in economics, if you're in America or whatever, nobody's probably heard it, but I like to shout out it sometimes. And it's the cure for say a high priced item is that high priced item, because it means at some point people won't buy it. So you have to lower prices. Hollywood's ate itself, and they have nothing to blame but themselves. And part of the reason why you have the DEI stuff in it is because to get nominated for awards and have prestige, to give yourself a rub, to have more clout when you go to negotiate salaries and contracts and these licensing deals with companies. It matters. And so there's certain things, and it kind of sucks, because you take a show like I mentioned in chat here, Pluribus, that I'd mentioned about, was phenomenal, but the guy did Breaking Bad. He's proven himself, writing, directing, being involved in as a showrunner, not where where we have a room full of writers that each one takes a shot at being the head writer of an episode. Okay, now it's your turn, number 2, number 3, number 4. And that lack of continuity or the person's vision that we would want to see as an artist, that's where I think we get lost on it, because the shows now, technology can be technically made, but because of CGI and them doing it, they're more expensive than they need to be. And I still maintain you could write and do a high quality show on the cheap. And if you had a large list of smaller people that are up and coming and did all that and allowed them to be creative in their own areas, like a science fiction or a Western, or like in this case, I don't even know if I would call this a typical cop movie, because it felt a little, not like a horror movie, but it had like a Western feel to it. I like that. That's a little different. Imagine if somebody did something like that. You brought up Renegade, Lorenzo Lamas from the 90s. People can say what they want for the show being kind of stupid and B-level and late night, but you know what?
It's 90s.
It ran for 5 seasons. It had a lot of action, a lot of beautiful people. It was entertaining, and that's the whole point.
Well, look at that. I mean, because people are like, well, look at that. That show's from the 70s. That's boring. No one cares about that. But look, at the time it was on, a lot of those shows were like, they were prime time shows, and people were enjoying them. It's not like, Law and Order, where it's never gonna get canceled. Law and Order has become like the soap opera. You just get a whole new cast every season.
That's the beauty of soap operas, though.
Yes,
they know how to pound them out. They know how to connect thousands of episodes together, and you can get it on the cheap. And those, honestly, that's what dominates the majority of the advertising revenue that these typical, I would say, almost archaic stations would actually get, your modern ones.
Yeah,
so your Netflixes and your streaming services, they have to own content rather than license it. That's where they're going with it. That's why, like, as a wrestling fan, like you and I, if we ever talk it offline or whatever, it doesn't matter if Saudi Arabia pays $1 million for a show or 10 million or something like that. That's why the shows have gotten longer and more bloated, and there's less wrestling more than ever. And it doesn't feel the same because they don't have to rely on the metric, the measuring of, hey, how many people are coming to this house show, or what was the Nielsen rating on it?
Well, Nielsen ratings, I think, are been gone forever. I don't know anybody who's.
And even Netflix and everybody, they
because how do you count streaming into the Nielsen ratings?
Well, even the way they would count it, that's where I was going with it. Yeah. They take away the 1 through 5 so people don't bomb it, because they say that's not real. And we already know with Rotten Tomatoes and all these other places, they'll sit there and freeze the score because they go, well, it's not fair to the content that's out here. Everybody gives it a 1 or a 0 for whatever.
Everything is rigged as far as ratings goes.
It's the same thing as paying a person in the media to put them on a junket for a weekend to do it, so they'll give you a favorable review. So, they try to shit everything away, and I think the watcher is. I think good content still wins out. I really do.
I said, like, one of the most popular shows in the past 20 years, 24, Lost. You can tell which ones. You don't need on Nielsen rating to tell it. You can tell by word of mouth what people are watching.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's why I
will never replace that. I don't think.
Yeah, no. So that's why I said, like, I don't believe Nielsen ratings. I wouldn't believe that those are even skewed, or they could be skewed for all I know. Look at the way that what's going on with it. Rotten Tomatoes. They're like, well, we were tired of people review bombing. Now, there are people that review bomb because they don't like something, but there are actually people who just legitimately do not like a product. So I don't think that's a review bomb. If you're giving a low score to something that you think is horrible, Now, if you're doing it before the movie comes out, or even theaters, that's a fake review, and those should be deleted.
Well, there's a lot of people that get an advanced screening of it and can review it, but it's
mainly there's not a lot though compared to what they do for the rebombing. So,
I'll simply say it was interesting when we reviewed season 1 and 2. I think of Mission Impossible. Professor Pixel, now the young 20-something person member here of the Extreme Movie Show. Him, he should not be named. Young Eglantine. But we also, you and I have reviewed a lot of the movies, and we've talked about the old TV show. And we did some movies, and starting off with Brian De Palma and how they changed, and how some people don't like it, because in the 80s rebooting was like a newer thing. It really was, not sequels, but rebooting.
I love that you brought up like Renegade.
Well, because Forever Night, all these level shows, they go for several seasons, 20+ episodes.
You bring up Renegade. Pops in my head. What pops in my mind is was it Stone Cold, the movie?
Yeah, Brian Bosworth.
Yeah.
A hell of a college player.
Yeah, as I said, like we also what was the other one that was out with Charlie Sheen? There was another. There's all these motorcycle movies or shows that pop up in the early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Desert Heat with with Van Damme. There's so many of them popped up. But
back then you could actually ride a motorcycle. It's just
the
thing with Mission Impossible I was going to mention was that think about how Tom Cruise bends over backwards, or at least puts on the appearance of it to go, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell you guys why this is going to be the greatest experience you're going to have. You're going to be so entertained when you come in here. I'm going to serve you popcorn. I'm going to stand here for 2 hours. He fucking sells you on the film. He doesn't bullshit you and act like all executives go,
No,
well,
he's
we don't want people to photobomb and review this because,
he's not a
it's not
paycheck
nice.
actor. He's a guy that gets involved. And
that's what moves people to go see things, word of mouth. Yeah.
Yes. But getting back to this, so I said it's a very dark, kind of twisted movie. Not when I say dark, I don't mean like there's a lot of gore, people getting their dismemberment, not like that. It's more dark, more like who can you trust in this? Who's really the actual like a good person in this? Which I like about it. It's because you may think, okay, well, there's one corrupt person. Well, then you're led to believe, okay, maybe there's more than two. Are they all dirty? Is there only one good person, or are they all corrupt? And this is all a mind game, with you. It's a very good show for, or not show, but movie for being on Netflix, especially considering the Netflix's track of their made for Netflix movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people did like The Town when it came out.
Yes, they did.
I still haven't watched all the way through, but I remember like watching the trailer for it, and it kind of reminded me of a little bit of this. I was like, oh shit, because like we've seen what he did in The Town, how he was, and I'm thinking like we could have Ben Affleck maybe be dirty as well. But the breakout character in this though is Matt Damon. Matt Damon's acting skills, you put him up against anybody else, and he just outshines everybody out here. And sorry, we make fun of him for our topic, or was it Team America? Matt Damon, we make fun of them like that, but Matt Damon is a phenomenal actor, and it's as much as I have much respect for Ben Affleck in this role in this movie, he was outshined, and that's not a bad thing, I'm
gonna disagree with that. They're different. And Matt Damon, I think, has got more of the shine. Absolutely, 100%.
Matt Damon, like I said, this comes off as a stone cold killer in this, and you're like,
he's good. He really
is.
Yes,
it is. And
it does.
I want to bring up because this is based off of a real story. It's based of Miami, story of Miami-Dade Sheriff Cassiano. It was an investigation to a large drug bust. They changed it from drugs to money. And then basically, in the real story, he was the guy was grief over losing his son to leukemia, and that's what's in this movie too. Because we're told from early on that Ben Affleck's character is unstable because of the fact that he lost his son. He hasn't been the same, and his wife, their marriage broke up. He's divorced, and in the real life story, all this other stuff was all fictional stuff, was all added to it. The corrupt cop stuff, that wasn't the real story. So that was added for the movie. And honestly, it worked well. And
I think it does work. I mean, it's better than their typical fare, which isn't saying much. But sometimes, you just go, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. I look at something like this and I go, and the ending we're deliberately not saying because you're going to want to watch the film to watch the ending.
Yeah, if I give you the ending, you're going to like, well, okay,
it is one of those.
Watching it.
Yeah, normally we like to spoil a lot, but we don't care in this case. We do.
Should we talk about the director and the screen and the writer?
Well, the one thing I'll say before that is that the only thing I could say that I think is a positive about this film as well is that I looked at this one, because it's a bit different and conceptually, I thought it was really good, maybe more than I liked it. I felt like this could have been something where they could have made this in like a 10-episode series where you see each of the characters, you meet them in a couple of seasons, something happens, you see them in action for
working away,
whatever, and you find out that something goes on, you find out somebody dies, then they get investigated, then what happens, here at the end and with the cartel and all that. I felt like there was enough meat on the bone here, thankfully, that they could have created a small little, 8, 10, 12, 13 episode a season out of it. And I'm thinking you could have done that and probably had to be more valuable to you as an asset than just shelling out money for a one-off movie. That's the thing with Netflix. They just spend all this money on content creation. I just don't think they're very efficient about it. Because this has more to it than just typical, there's possibly a bad cop. There it really is. That's a good thing.
All right. So I want to point out, the director and screenplay writer for this movie is Joe Carnahan, and most people are like, if you don't follow directors, you have no idea who I'm talking about. This is a guy who did Boss Level, was like the Gray, Smoking Aces, A-Team, Cop Shop, back in 2021. Did Narc in 2002. Shadow Force was his other one from last year with the husband and wife team, trying to get their son back. Death Wish with Bruce Willis, Smoking Aces 2, and just did all the Bad Boys for Life, 2020. Wheelman with Frank Grill. So this guy is and also Faceless, which is on 6, was a really good. I believe that was it a movie or is that a show? But that's Sean Bean. This guy has worked with like every big name actor, at least from the 2000s stuff, and it just shows. And I didn't like the ending of The Gray. I thought the end of The Gray, they don't tell you they purposely don't tell you what happens at the end. But
he did The Gray.
Yeah,
I like the ending of The Gray.
Yeah, I'm thinking like
that's badass.
I'm like fuck that. Liam Neeson, he survived. That's my ending. But and he's now the Wolf King. But no.
Finishing something's tough, right? I mean, yeah. I'm looking at some TV shows out there that don't know how to finish.
So it literally, this it reminds me of Smoking Aces, and movies like Lucky Number 11, and so this is a very good show. Or I keep saying I say show because we're moving shows. Movie. So it's on Netflix right now. They dropped as a last week. On I believe it was on the what was the
within the past week or two on Netflix. Yeah, I think in the past week. Yeah,
probably the 21st or somewhere on there, or the 23rd. Actually, right about 16th. I don't know. It's on there. It's free to watch. Go check it out. Not much more I can say about this. I don't want to spoil the ending. I'm just saying that there is a high speed truck chase. And on a foot chase, and they did not phone it in. No. You know what I'm talking about.
I'll leave it at that. Yes, sir.
Let's just say
it's good. It's good.
And
Netflix usually put out decent stuff.
The good guys win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you don't know who they are till the end.
Yes.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Rip 2026 recent release here on Netflix. We've got in a week or two. We've just completed Hannibal. Professor Pixel and I. We have competing schedules. We're going to be doing the next James Bond film in the series because he hasn't seen them all and he's a young guy. So we're going through them all. I believe it will be The World Is Not Enough. After that, we'll be going Columbo. Then after that, another Bond movie. Then over the summer, we'll be doing probably Forever Night before we go into something else in the fall. What do you and I have coming up over the next couple weeks before we transition to something new, sir?
Well, I'm not transitioning anything. I'm staying the way I am, baby. On Sundays,
my beard.
Sundays, we're going to be having our Fallout reviews, and then basically Tuesdays we're going to keep open for movies. Because right now there's other shows coming out, but we are talking about
encourage the listeners to maybe prep themselves for our next review. What would that be, sir?
Well, let me talk. Because we are talking about doing returning and reviewing to Miami Vice, obviously. It's not our first watch for me because I binge watched that like 2 years ago. We were originally talking about doing it, but then things fell through, and so I just kept watching it. I actually have the box set right above me.
Nice.
You can't see it though, but it's up there. So I keep it up there right above me on the box because getting ready for it. Sadly, though, that show is not available for streaming anywhere. It was on Tubi, and that's where Georgia I was watching it. So then I was like, Tubi said no more, and I was like, you bastard! It's the one license you should keep. Drop everything else.
Love it's the music licensing.
Yeah, too. It is. So it's not available as far as I know. It might be on Amazon. Is it on Amazon to pay?
I believe so.
First season, yes. I do recommend going out and buying a box set if you can. Or getting I don't think it might be on Blu-ray by now.
It's one of the sexiest shows out there of all time to me.
Michael Mann's first show after he did the movie Thief.
Mm-hmm.
James Caan. Mm-hmm. And it's just fantastic. It's to this day, it's arguably the best TV show ever made.
I can only tell you, as we've talked about Michael Mann before a little bit, that watching the movie or the television show is like a movie in that it's very lush. the way he chose to do something with his style and all that was completely different at the time. Again, in the 70s, we had great writing for television shows, and things might have watered down in the 80s and have continued to do so. But I'm telling you, I can feel Florida being an original OG from Florida while I'm still watching that show. And when I start to put on the episode, I don't really want to watch it because I go, oh, this is the episode that has this guest star. But I just go, there's going to be cocaine, drugs there, maybe the occasional.
Oh yeah,
seriously. But when I get sucked into it because it's so atmospheric, and that's the whole point, is that
it's all
their experience is emotional. It doesn't have to be intellectual, and that's why we want, at least in my opinion, a particular person's version of something, because you kind of know what you're going to get or see how they're going to do it. So I'm looking forward to going over that with you as we transition to the spring here.
Yeah, like I said, Miami Vice. I said arguably, you're talking about the atmosphere.
Yes,
everything. It's the Miami nightlife. It's 1984. This show was so popular that the GTA made their own Vice City. You know, and it perfectly captured the whole entire nightlife. And just like I said, it's a fantastic show. And if you've never watched it, oh my gosh. Yeah,
I'll say this. The first season, I don't know if it was a stand-in or whatever, but I remember watching it. But I heard about it and I saw an episode or two. But what happened was, when you had a TV show in the summertime, because you'd have the 20 to 23 episodes, not like these 8 or 10, 12 that you
no one watches stuff that during summer. No,
well, that was the point. You would throw stuff on, and once in a while, a show would get hot, literally, because people had nothing to watch and they're on different time schedules, right? Mm-hmm. Miami Vice, for some reason, over the summer, just went fucking nuclear, and then the fall in season 2 in 85 and 86, that was must-watch TV, and it stayed that way.
It's the way it was shot, with the camera angles, or the acting, and it was also the music. 100%. The music, 100% the music. You take away the music on that show, it's like taking Queen away from Highlander.
Right, I agree with you on that. That's a good comment. Yeah.
So,
and in the 90s, we did have the last sexy matchup we might have would have been Lorenzo Lamas versus Highlander, the television show, because that was like a thing in the 90s.
It really frustrates me after just watching the trailer again, or the opening for Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas. I was like, why the hell did they decide to reboot Walker Texas Ranger? Why did they make Jared Padalecki Lorenzo Lamas' character in Renegade? That would have popped for that on CW.
Because like a Forever Night, knowing you're a B-level show and embracing it and making it as good as B-level show as possible. I think people have an ego today, and they go, "Oh, we can't do that because."
I'm just saying, Jared Padalecki looks like he's tall, he's built, he's got the hair. He could be another Lorenzo Lamas biker guy.
But who's got that sexy, sassy, type of thing that's a young actor today doesn't come off as gay? I mean, seriously. Lorenzo was really a smooth character going back to the early 80s on Falcon Crest and everything else. He was a well-known commodity, and the fact that he went and he did that show, he had some fun with it. And I wonder what actor would be willing to do that today.
Like I said, right now, I wouldn't say that Jared Padalecki is in a form of a feminine man. His character on Supernatural was a character. He wasn't gay or all that stuff. Right. He was just the guy who was more level-headed, where Dean was more the guy who basically didn't think things through.
Yeah, from what I remember with Lorenzo, he kind of had that nonchalant kind of like look in his eye that he was in Lorenzo. I just don't know if Jared would have. I was as mad that Lorenzo Lamas and Fabio didn't team up. Fabio and Lorenzo. Good night, everybody. See you Sunday. Hair versus hair. Later, guys. Loser leaps down.